Mike, can you send
The
me?
purpose of this module is to introduce a principle of learning called reinforcement and analyze actual scenarios that demonstrate this teaching strategy. Reinforcement means strengthening something to make it more durable and long-lasting. Builders and engineers use reinforcement on buildings, bridges, and other structures to make them stronger and resilient. Likewise, parents and teachers can use reinforcements to help children strengthen fragile, newly learned skills. Over time and with practice, these skills become familiar and children learn to use them consistently and in all kinds of situations. Reinforcement is one key concept in behavior analysis and teaching. Reinforcement is the idea that the likelihood of a behavior occurring again is influenced by the consequence that follows that behavior. A consequence that increases the likelihood of a behavior occurring again is called a reinforcer. This is how everyone learns. In this video, because the student picked his toys the next day, we know he liked getting praised by his teacher. Getting something he wanted, in this case praise and attention, influenced this student's subsequent behavior. This type of reinforcement is probably the one with which you are most familiar. Experts refer to this as positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement occurs when a behavior is followed by a reinforcer,
Very good.
resulting in the likelihood of the behavior occurring again.
Doing the picture.
Parents, teachers, and other professionals use this principle to help children learn appropriate behaviors at home and at school. It's very important to point out that unacceptable behavior can be reinforced unintentionally. Sometimes, even reprimands and timeouts can serve reinforcing functions. We can say reinforcement has occurred when three conditions have been met. 1. A child engages in a behavior. 2. The parent or teacher gives a reinforcer after the behavior. 3. The behavior becomes more likely to occur in the future because, and only because, the consequence is presented dependent on the behavior. As previously stated, parents, teachers, and other professionals use the reinforcement principle to help children learn appropriate behaviors at home and at school. Many times, adults use reinforcement to influence behavior quite naturally. At other times, however, a plan can be developed to intentionally increase appropriate behavior. The first step to developing a positive reinforcement plan is to identify a single behavior that you would like to occur more often. These behaviors may involve communication, such as asking for help, expressing feelings, or greeting others appropriately. Some behaviors are social in nature, such as sitting at the dinner table or letting a sibling hold a favorite toy. Other behaviors involve academic performance, such as completing homework, doing well on a test, or reading. The behavior you choose should be observable and measurable. The second step to developing a plan is to choose potentially reinforcing or highly preferred items or activities that will increase the likelihood the behavior will occur again. Some children like toys, foods, or attention. Others might like time on a computer or a TV show, or some like obvious reinforcers such as praise. There are children who may prefer unusual objects like string, keys, bottle caps, or strange foods. The third step to a reinforcement plan is assessment. The only way for you to know for sure if your plan is working is a demonstrated increase in the appropriate behavior identified in step 1. Let's analyze several scenarios to identify which ones use positive reinforcement to increase behavior. Example 1. Terry, a child diagnosed with autism, seldom smiles at other people. Mrs. Fisher used a procedure in which she would take Terry for a walk on the campus of Youngstown State University. If he smiled at people who passed by, she would give him some M&M candies. This procedure caused Terry to smile much more often than he had before. Example 2. Terry, a child diagnosed with autism, seldom smiled at other people. Mrs. Fisher used a procedure in which she would take Terry for a walk on the campus of Youngstown State University. If he smiled at people who passed by, she would give him some M&M candies. Terry ate the candy quickly. Which example demonstrates the positive reinforcement strategy? The first example demonstrates the positive reinforcement strategy. A consequence, candy, was presented dependent upon the target behavior, smiling. There was an if-then relationship between smiling and candy. Second, there was an increase in the frequency of smiling. Third, the increase in smiling was due to the relationship between smiling and candy. Let's take a look at a second scenario. Example 1. Delaney is a 5-year-old girl who attends preschool. She seldom plays with other children. Her teachers at the preschool begin praising Delaney more than they had before. As a result of this procedure, Delaney's cooperative play with other children increased. Example 2. Delaney is a 5-year-old girl who attends preschool. She seldom plays with other children. Her teachers at the preschool began praising Delaney when she engaged in cooperative play with other children. As a result of this procedure, Delaney's level of cooperative play with the other children increased. Which example demonstrates a positive reinforcement strategy? The second example demonstrates the positive reinforcement strategy. First, praise was presented dependent on cooperative play because there was an if-then relationship between cooperative play and praise. Second, the frequency of cooperative play increased. Third, the increase in cooperative play was due to the dependency between cooperative play and praise. This example may be tricky. Remember the 3 conditions that need to be met for reinforcement to have occurred. Example 1. During class, a group of boys would disrupt the teacher by talking out of turn. The disapproving look the teacher gave the boys resulted in decreasing the levels of disruptive behavior. Example 2. During class, a group of boys would disrupt the teacher by talking out of turn. The disapproving look the teacher gave the boys caused them to laugh and resulted in increasing the level of disruptive behaviors. Which example demonstrates a positive reinforcement strategy? The second example demonstrates the positive reinforcement strategy because teacher disapproval was presented dependent on the disruptive behaviors, and this caused an increase in the level of targeted behaviors. The first example is not positive reinforcement because the procedure caused a decrease in the targeted behaviors, not an increase. As illustrated in example 2, stimuli and events that seem negative, undesirable, or even painful to most people can act as positive reinforcers to others.